Hi everyone, welcome to another Collateral onboarding call. This is number 39, and we're actually exploring another type of collateral to mint DAI. In this case, is part of the D3M, which was initially launched with Aave. For those that have any questions about that, you can check the forum at forum.makerdao.com. My name is Juan. I'm the facilitator for the core unit sustainable ecosystem scaling, and today we're with Teddy Woodward from Notional Finance, and we also have Paper Imperium, which is one of the recognized delegates representing GFX Labs. So with that in mind, just keep in mind that if you have any questions, it's relevant, you can either raise your hand, write it on the chat, or just interrupt Teddy. And we will have some space for those at the end as well. So Teddy, if you want to take it away.
Sure thing. Thanks, Juan. I'm Teddy Woodward. I'm the co-founder of Notional, and I have a very short presentation for you guys. I think most of you are probably relatively familiar with the way Notional works, so I'm going to keep this short. But I'm really glad to be here, and thanks everyone for the opportunity and taking the time to come to this and learn more about Notional and ask questions. I think that this would be an awesome integration. Obviously Notional would love to work with Maker, but I think this provides you guys a good opportunity as well to earn some more revenue in a format that you're familiar with, and also to provide some sort of strategic influence to the long-term borrowing rates that are available to DeFi users for DAI. So just as a quick background, Notional is a decentralized protocol on Ethereum that enables fixed rate lending and borrowing of crypto assets. So we started the company roughly 2 years ago, and have launched our most current version, our Notional V2, about 4 months ago. And I'll take you to the website now so we can give you. And since our launch, we have attracted about $500 million in TVL. And we've processed about $375 million in total loan volume. So we have kind of quickly become the leading fixed rate protocol in DeFi by a wide margin. And I'll kind of give you a quick overview of how it works. So Notional is if you're familiar with some of the different ways that people are trying to achieve fixed rates, Notional is using the zero coupon bond method. So the way that I describe what Notional is it's a lot like Compound with fixed rates. It's a very similar sort of over collateralization method, and something that Maker is very familiar with as well. People can borrow on Notional, with a, over collateralization, and there's kind of a compound-like liquidation mechanism. Now, the basic technical overview of how we achieve fixed rates starts with something we call Fcash. So Fcash is a zero coupon bond-like instrument that is defined by a currency type and a maturity date. So for example, June 1st, 2022 USDC, that's an Fcash token, and it is transferable and tradable. And on June 1st, it can be redeemed for 1 USDC on Notional. And the way we use this concept, basically this concept allows us to define cash flows at specific dates in the future. And the way we use that to enable fixed rate borrowing and lending is by allowing users to trade between cash today and cash in the future, right? So in a practical way, the way this works is we have liquidity pools on chain where we'll have DAI on one side and June 1st DAI on the other side, right? So a user who wants to lend can come to this liquidity pool, put in their DAI, and take out some June 1st DAI. And every time they make that trade, there's an exchange rate between DAI and June 1st DAI. And that exchange rate implies a fixed interest rate over that period of time. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of how this works. Now, to give you guys a little bit more context, I'm just going to walk you through the UI a little bit for DAI. So right now, we offer lending and borrowing on 4 currency types. So DAI, ETH, USDC, and wrapped Bitcoin. So these are the only collateral types currently on offer. Okay, so when people are borrowing any of these currencies, that the acceptable forms of collateral are restricted to this currency set. Now let's look at DAI. So yeah, so this is DAI, and these are the rates that are available for the different maturity dates. So we currently are offering March 28th, June 26th, and December 23rd.
Teddy, I'm not seeing your screen. I don't know if you started sharing already, or maybe,
Okay.
or maybe I'm crazy.
Geez. Yeah, my bad. All right, hold on. Sorry about that.
It happens to all of us, man.
Yeah. All right, hold on a minute. How do I get back to this? Okay.
Should we start from scratch? Hi, welcome everyone.
Yeah, let's not. Allow, oh God, I have to open system preferences. Sorry about this. I have no idea. This is, oh man, this is a new computer.
Oh, you don't have the sharing permissions.
Yeah.
This is awkward.
Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. Okay. I think it should work now. Okay.
You want me to share for you, Teddy? Oh, okay, you got it.
I got it. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Maybe you can edit that out. I don't know. But okay, so this was the lens screen that I was talking over here. So we have DAI, Ether, USDC, and wrapped Bitcoin. And these are sort of the rates that are available for each of these currencies. And if you go to DAI, you can see that we have 3 different maturities that you can lend or borrow to, right? And these are currently the sort of the rates that are available, right? So, as you can see, like the yield curve is strangely shaped, and it's not exactly clear why it's shaped like that. But this is something that this D3M integration would allow you guys to sort of have influence over. How do you want this? What do you think makes sense for this yield curve? Like how do you think it should be shaped, right? And now the way you influence that, right, is by lending to these different maturities at different interest rates, right? And because this the model works by sort of a liquidity pool, which means that every time somebody lends, the rate goes down, and every time somebody borrows, the rate goes up. So by lending on Notional, you would be decreasing the interest rates for DAI borrowers, and just in general, sort of influencing the shape of this yield curve, right? And I just want to demonstrate a little bit the sort of the available liquidity here. So you can see we have a little chart here which shows you the slippage for different sizes. Okay, so if you want to lend 10K, you can lend at 688, 100K, 687, 1 million, 676, 10 million, 568. Right. So what I want to demonstrate here is just that Notional is quite liquid. Now it's certainly smaller than something like Compound or Aave, But it's very liquid still. So you could deploy a material amount of capital and have attractive returns on that capital. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to say for now, and I'll let you guys kind of ask your questions.
Terry, just to have an idea, is this so the people that are borrowing the DAI, for example, they are borrowing at a fixed rate, and the premise is that they will have to return it. Is there some kind of rolling at maturity, or how does that work?
Yeah, so basically the borrowers can either the borrowers have to repay the debt by maturity, or they can roll it forward. So basically at any time prior to maturity, a borrower can roll their debt forward to a future maturity. And yes, that option is available to them. Yeah.
Is it also over collateralized, or?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, before I start taking the mic over, maybe someone else wants to add their questions, or if there are any of the concerns that were raised in the forum, maybe we can cover those as well.
I guess just so I'm clear on the borrower side then, so are they basically providing collateral and then minting the, however you want to call it, the F tokens? Yeah, I think awesome. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what's happening, yeah.
And hey, Teddy, Frank Cruz here, 3F delegate. I saw a press release, for lack of a better word, or a blog post that you guys spoke about your partnership with Yearn. Yeah, so I was kind of looking at it, right? Not knowing your protocol as well as you do. It sounds to me like you guys are getting exposure to Yearn vaults from both the USDC and DAI side. So I was wondering what kind of risk is being taken on from there, and how does someone who deposits DAI into Notional, what's the risk and what's their upside and what's their downside?
Yeah, so actually that the exposure is the other way around. So the Yearn vaults, the YV USDC and YV DAI vaults are depositing into Notional. So they're sort of taking Notional risk as opposed to the other way around. So that's the first thing, but sort of a more general answer, I think something that's an important part of Notional's construction is that it is integrated with Compound. So basically, and the reason we do this is so that liquidity providers, so people who put capital into these liquidity pools, can earn additional yield, okay? Because they provide capital in the form of C tokens, like CDAI, instead of actual DAI. So, as a Notional user, that is a dependency of the Notional system. And we chose Compound because we felt it was the lowest risk and most secure integration of that type. So we chose Compound instead of something like Yearn, for example. But yeah, just to just give you a little bit more color on how Notional works and sort of the smart contract risk that a Notional user or like Notional depositor would take. There's also the additional smart contract risk of Compound.
Got it. And are the vaults, the Yearn vaults, are they, would they be, if there was a crisis where they had to be liquidated, are they in Yearn or are they living in Notional? I'm trying to get a better idea of how the vaults work when it comes to feeding something like DAI into Notional as liquidity.
Yeah, so the Yearn vaults lend fixed on Notional. So what they are lenders on Notional. So if the Yearn vaults had to be liquidated, they would effectively have to exit their lending early. which would cause interest rates to rise. Because yeah, that's what that would do.
Okay, so they're liquidated by YEarn. Okay, by the team. Correct. By their keepers.
Well, they're not taking any. They're not borrowing. So there's no like, they wouldn't be liquidated. It's just this scenario would happen if if everybody wanted to pull their money out of the Yearn vault, right? Then they would have to go like, they would have to go raise that cash. And the way they would do that is they would sell their loan position on Notional.
Got it. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Teddy, maybe you can address a bit the concerns. I think mainly it was scalability, and then, well, I guess a little bit less on prioritization.
Yeah, so I think for scalability, okay, so there's kind of, I think there's two ways to look at that question. So I think actually the comment on the forum referred to sort of technical scalability, in the sense that I believe the poster was worried that you would need to deploy a new contract to handle every single maturity, every new maturity that you wanted to lend to. And that is not true. So basically, and an important thing to note here is that the Fcash tokens are governed by the ERC 1155 standard, as opposed to the ERC 20 standard. And that's a very important difference, because it means that one single ERC 1155 contract governs all current and future Fcash maturities. So basically your smart contract, your smart contracts that handle the integration would not need to sort of constantly approve new contracts as they are deployed. That is not something you would need to do. Basically, you would need to write connector contracts, and I should say at this point that I am the CEO, not the CTO. I didn't write the code for Notional, but so I'm not really a full expert here. But my understanding is that you would need to write a set of smart contracts. But you would not need to change those smart contracts and on a regular basis. In order to roll your loan forward after it is matured, you would need to submit a transaction, but you would not need to update your smart contracts in any way. So there'd be an initial sort of technical work required, but there wouldn't need to be any sort of undue ongoing technical work. Yeah.
Kianga, someone just DM'd me saying that your hand has been up for a while now, so I'm really sorry I missed it.
No, that's okay. I think it like blends into my wall probably. Hi, Teddy. Thanks for being here. I wondered if you could share your regulatory risk assessment for your firm and the product, and if you've been contacted or had any inquiries from SEC, or there's been a lot of heat around the lending products, BlockFi and Coinbase lend products. So just wondered what your assessment is for your firm, and if you've had any inquiries from authorities regarding the products.
Yeah, so we have not had any inquiries at all. What I would say is that I think Notional is on a path to sort of decentralization, and I think that so I think that we are kind of we're leaning on that in terms of our sort of like thinking about the legal strategy. I think that what we're trying to do here is we're trying to be a good faith actor, working in an environment where there's a great deal of ambiguity and not a lot of certainty around sort of what is and what isn't acceptable. And so what we're doing is we're trying to take every precaution we can and just make sure that we are sort of acting in good faith.
So just to follow up on that, I mean, separate and apart from good faith and I guess future centralization, have you been advised by counsel? I mean, do you have a view as to the current assessment of your firm and product in terms of the regulatory landscape and licenses that you may or may not otherwise be required, just sort of an assessment of where you currently fit? Good faith is I think not so much the question as much as just an assessment of kind of in this environment where you fit today and how you kind of see the risks in that regard to your business and products.
Sure. I mean, I think that yes, there is of course risk. I don't think I think any DeFi protocol is taking a substantial amount of risk because nobody is sort of regulated, because there's no way for us to be regulated at the current moment, right? And so we are focused on building Notional in the way that kind of makes sense from the protocol's perspective, and I think that we are going to make as sort of like the regulatory requirements and recommendations like get more clear. I think we would try and influence the DAO and the community to sort of comply with those regulations. But for now, it's quite there is no clarity, so it's not there. We have no sort of it's not clear what we should and what we shouldn't be doing. Yeah, so I imagine that this is kind of an issue that Maker has encountered itself. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy, regarding next steps, I think that there's right now a signal request posted by Paper on the forum. Oh, yeah, I was going to say about that, but maybe Tim can take it on before I see that his hand is up.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to mention the governance process. I think you guys have been stewards of bringing this thing through, and I think it's highlighted some things that are gaps that are sort of orthogonal to the thing. But I was more going to ask about the term lending module, which is like a little bit more decentralized, a little bit more user focused. Why D3M? Why not the term lending module? I don't think we answered that question.
Is that a question to me or?
That it is.
Okay. I'm not super familiar with the term lending module. Basically, kind of with our discussions with GFX, who sort of helped, obviously propose this. They felt that D3M was the best fit here. So, I'm not super familiar with how Notional and Maker could sort of integrate in the context of the term lending module. Yeah.
Okay. Something to evaluate possibly in the future. But at the time that was written, we didn't have the sandbox. I mean, there's definitely they're pretty similar. I just wanted to see if we could maybe unpack it a little. So no worries.
Okay. Yeah, I think from a practical perspective, I'm not sure how much of a difference there really is. If Maker is just going to be lending fixed and depositing into Notional, what the name that you call it, whether it's D3M or term lending module, from a practical perspective, I'm not sure what the difference is.
Yeah, I can't speak to like the practical smart contract difference. I think it would be quite nuanced, but as far as I can understand, the TLM is much more user focused in that they would deposit N tokens, F tokens, Notional tokens themselves, rather than the D3M, which is controlled by governance. That's all. But as Seb says in the chat, branding matters. So.
Yeah, so thanks for that, Tim. I don't know if there are any more questions, or we can go back to the next steps. Terry, as we were saying.
I have one.
Oh, Nadia and Nikolai next. Okay.
So you said you are integrated with Compound. If we integrate D3M in Compound, it will be almost the same as if we integrated with you, or like what will be the difference?
Well, the difference if you integrate with Notional is that you can lend at a fixed rate of interest and you can lend at Notional's interest rates. So like Compound, like Notional sits on top of Compound. So we provide like it's a different product entirely. So it would be a different sort of proposition for
I understand, but from a user perspective, I understand that there are different solutions, but you are getting stablecoins liquidity from Compound, and then you work on a fixed rate. That's like your added value. But if you are getting a DAI from Compound through the D3M, so it will be almost like the same as if you integrated, no?
So we are not getting DAI from Compound. We are putting DAI on Compound. Notional is, yeah, Notional is actually, I think, one of the largest lenders on Compound.
But if there's a D3M into Compound that has like millions of DAI, it would lower the rates on Notional as well, I could imagine.
Yeah, I think that's true, but it's not one-to-one. You can't like, you can't control the rates on Notional like directly by lending on Compound.
Right. Yeah. I also just joined a bit late, so apologies for that. My question, if it's okay, we continue to that, Nadia.
Actually,
Yeah.
sorry, just to interrupt. Sorry, excuse me. I'm seeing like there's a minute and 20 seconds, like a time left.
The tech ops team touched my settings. I just reached out to them to see if they can do something on the fly, but we might get cut 1 minute from now.
Okay, then never mind my question. It wasn't that important.
I don't know, Nikolai, if you want to post it in the forum, or Ted, if you want to let people know where to reach out if they have any questions or any more comments or next steps, call to action.
Yeah, I think if you want to ask more questions, you can ask them on the forum, or you can go into Notional's Discord, or ask me directly, and then I suppose just vote on the proposal.
Sounds good. So yeah, for everyone watching this later, the signal request might still be on. Thanks for joining, and sorry again for having this technical issue. Thank you, Teddy, for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Have a nice one.